That's basically it.
I have a question about the application of these incentives and economic benefits. We are all about economic development,
Sure.
obviously, and I've been going through what's happened with the Arts Council, and we're very pleased with what's occurred there. And so I was reviewing the numbers today on the impact of one specific artistic event that we have here, which is the Azalea Festival.
Mm-hmm.
And many of you probably read the recent data, but just to review, when we had the Azalea Festival here as an advocate for why we ought to have an Arts Council, they believed that their economic benefit to the community was $7 million and that 100,000 people came. When they had UNCW do a study and they had 4 people working full-time, interviewed several thousand people, the new number turns out to be not 7 million, but 50 million, and not 100,000 people, but 165,000 people. So the point is obvious. It seems to me it would be highly desirable for your group or whoever would be appropriate to reflect that kind of rather more specific economic development data for the benefit of the community and its understanding of what you're doing, and for more broadly support of the governor and the programs in the state.
Absolutely, and I think we do that in a lot of ways with cucaloras. And I think that that is also a huge generating economic benefactor of this region. And I would venture to say that the numbers are not far off from the Innovating Festival, is what you were saying for cucaloras. And they're now one of the top 10 film festivals in the country or in the world. So I think that we do try to do that a lot with, it's a similar, obviously a similar industry to us. I mean, it's an independent film industry. And one thing I would like to see is a way to have local filmmakers have a way to be funded to do local films. Because once we get that homegrown film making here, then, you know, obviously we'll have less need for incentives in the future. So if we can find some way to gain that film financing locally, get banks to just kind of realize that yes, there is risk, but maybe financing the credit up front or something like that would be one way that we could just build this industry from the ground up. But I agree with you that that's...
Well, just applying the same point, the recent estimate for the Cucalaras Festival is only 4 million. And if 7 is to 50 and 4 is to X, X is a pretty good number. So we ought to know what that number is.
Right. So you're saying partner with an organization that can help them actually come up with those real numbers.
Come up with the numbers, yeah, however, those things can be done by economic development organizations that specialize in that kind of data.
And I agree
that
that
done by accounting firms and can be done by universities and so on. You need a credible source.
You do, and that would have helped us so much if we had understood the tourism dollars for our economic study as a result of the film industry. So same thing.
Yeah,
how you can track that, but that's something that's desperately needed.
If I may move on to a question following up on the tourism aspect, it strikes me, as you described the various incentives, that we all know this is an economy that was historically driven in recent years, shall we say, till 2007 or 8, by real estate development and tourism. And we all know that's in the tank and is prospectively going to stay there for a while, given no change in all of the aspects that we can presently identify. So the question would be, I see the real estate industry not recognizing sufficiently the benefits of tourism and why tourism brings people who come here, like the place, think about renting on a repeated basis and then buy and live here and bring their jobs, their knowledge worker type jobs that we're interested in. So do you see through, let's say, the Convention Visitors Bureau and or other means that we are making readily available to people who might be be coming here, an appreciation of resources that might be made available to them to deal with things like historic credits, given this is one of the biggest historic downtown and you know, regions in the country, and other ways that they might be helped that would provide that one extra benefit that might make a decision to come here instead of somewhere else.
Yeah, I'm not really aware what they are and not doing there. Probably to guess, so probably not getting down to that level of detail with things. You raise a valid point that it may be worth having discussions with people and seeing, you know, at least raising the issue and seeing what could be done to kind of get that message out there more.
There could be another page on the website. Here are some things that are available and people who could help you, for example.
There's a certain lack of foresight in the area. If anybody saw the op-ed page this morning of the home builders quote, not acknowledging the bubble 3 years ago, saying there wasn't a bubble. So yeah, lack of foresight here is a big thing.
Anyone else? Questions? Comments?
Can you talk a little bit, maybe, as far as 2012 and things that are coming up that small businesses should be aware of or kind of prepare for?
I think it was something that Buddy said when it kind of got me thinking about. I mean, one of the biggest things I see, you know, small and medium-sized businesses struggling with today is there's just so much political uncertainty out there, which then creates so much uncertainty related to taxes, other things, that I think to a certain extent it gets people stuck, you know, well, I want to wait until things shake out so I know what makes sense or what rules I'm playing with. And just right now with the political situation, the budgetary situation, people don't really know what's going to change. I mean, something could change, and it could happen at any time, not necessarily even this year, a bad year, good year. That could always happen, but I think things are going to change in some way, shape, or form here.
Good, bad, and
Good, bad, and different, pretty drastically at some point, but it's like that uncertainty right now is, to me, is a big issue as far as getting businesses to make investments, getting businesses to do things that are going to generate jobs, and just removing that uncertainty one way or another would help a lot with things. You know, there's some things coming in 2012 where, kind of as the economy struggled here, they've raised limits on accelerated depreciation, bonus depreciation, other things. The last couple of years, you know, raised it by hundreds of thousands of dollars so that investments companies have made, they're able to expense it versus spreading it out over time. Some of those limits dropped some again here in 2012.
payroll taxes.
Payroll tax, that's the other issue that's kind of been in the press there now. Currently, on the employee Social Security side, there's basically a 2% reduction for the last, I think it's been 2 years here. That expires at the end of this year, so basically, out of an employee's pay, if a changes are made or extended here, they're going to basically have an additional 2% going back towards Social Security tax. But the flip side of that is, you know, we probably even more have been underfunding Social Security than it needed to the last 2 years because of that cut. So there's lots of things at play there, and I guess, you know, it's really hard with a lot of this stuff to say, okay, I mean, they do studies and they'll say, yes, if you cut the payroll tax by 2%, you're going to put this much more in people's pockets, which means they're going to spend this much more. But are people really spending that money? Are they saving that money? Are they paying down debt? What are they doing with it? You know, and are they doing things that are going to be an investment in the future? Or are they doing things that are dealing with what we've all been doing in the past? But yeah, it'll be interesting to kind of see how all that shakes out with the payroll tax and where things go with that. And there's some other things, just, you know,